Hello, everybody, and welcome to week 7 of CCS R6W here. We've got a great week lined up for you here. I'm Brimstone, of course. Joined with me is Fraser, and we've got Rook here. Welcome back from last week, Rook, and welcome to the show, Fraser. How's it going?
Thank you. It's going pretty well, thank you. How about yourself?
It's going pretty good. I'm excited for the matches today. We've got an amazing lineup today. It's going to be good. 4 of our 3 matches that we're showing on stream here are actually teams that are right next to each other in the standings. So it should be a really interesting one. Have you gotten a chance to take a look at any of the teams at all? Anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I went over some of the matches from last week. I'm incredibly excited about one in particular. It's going to be North Sea Gaming versus Spies. I feel like it's probably going to be one of the
Yeah.
closer games, to be frank about it.
Yeah, it's gonna be definitely a tough match between those two here. Do you have a particular one you're excited for, Rook?
For me, I feel like most of them are pretty interesting. I think the only one where you're looking at not being particularly, you're looking for the upset is Team Queen and Penta defeated Victoria, because that's a big split in the standings. I'm kind of looking forward to Titanium Cloud Esports versus Hellside. I think there's a lot of interesting things that can be going on there, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, let's get the schedule up for today, and we'll run through each of the matches here with you and give you a bit of a background on the matches here. So first off, we're going to be starting with bTitans going up against Endpoint, bTitans being in 6th and Endpoint being in 5th. Next, we'll have Team Queen going up against Penta Divina Victoria, and that'll be the first seed team versus the 9th. Then Titanium Cloud Esports going up against Hellside, as you were talking about, Rook. That'll be 7th against 8th. That'll be a really interesting deciding one, because whoever loses that one is probably not kind of like their chances of the playoffs will be out there, and the other one will still have that fighting chance. But we'll talk a bit more about that later. And then finally, we're going to round it out with North Sea Gaming versus Spies. That'll be the 2nd and 3rd team. So as I was saying, those close matchups. Off stream, we have SMS Athena versus Sphinx. You'll be able to pick that up later on. It'll be posted on YouTube. That's the 4th seed versus the 10th seed. So that should be a good match as well. So let's jump back into bTitans versus Endpoint. That's going to be our first match this evening. As you can see, we're going to be posting the standings in just a moment here, as we're talking about the 5th versus the 6th. Rook, tell me, is this another one of those like matches that we'll see the winner has a fighting chance at the playoffs and the loser is pretty much out? Is that what we're looking at?
I mean, I believe from mathematically standing, you come into this. If you lose, you still have one chance. If you lose one more game, I think you're out. But if you don't manage to pick up this game against a middle of the table team, this is the real decider in terms of skill level. Unless you really ramp it up in the oncoming matches, you're going to struggle to really deal with some of the higher teams, those 1st to 4th place, which is obviously where you're looking to try and get into playoffs there. So it is in terms of mental, in terms of how much you are able to prove yourself and how you're expecting yourself to do, rather than statistically.
Yeah, definitely. And one interesting thing I was looking at, because we're getting near the end here, this is week 7 to week 9, so every team only has 3 matches left. Of course, Endpoint and bTitans face each other right now. Going forward, though, the next 2 weeks, bTitans specifically, they'll face Sphinx, which you would hope would be a must-win for them, or they should win, but then they go up against North Sea Gaming, which will be a very tough matchup for them. Endpoint, by contrast, although they aren't going up against a team that will surely probably give them a win and then one that will probably give them a loss, they are going up against Hellside and Titanium Cloud that are stuck in that middle area. So, I mean, I can't even really give the advantage to either team. They both have their ups and downs as far as the rest of the schedule shows for them. But let's run through the rosters really quick here. We'll give you, a reintroduction to the teams, the players playing today. As I said, we're going to be having bTitans going up against Endpoint. And we're going to have, for bTitans, we're going to have Dashini, Shnati, Rebecca, Julie, and Rezi. And they're going to be going up against Endpoint, which is in their 2nd week as a renamed team, same team that they've been playing with the whole season. And that'll be Midnight, Lua, Izzy, Aztec, and Panda. What do you think of these matchups? I'll throw it to Rook. Yeah, you were here with us last week. Sorry
I think bTitans, we saw them playing 2 weeks back when I was actually on. I was impressed with them. They were playing a relatively aggressive style, and I do think that generally can lead to you to pick up some of these really nice wins. I was seeing some nice frags from them. As a whole, they were on the same page. They were playing on Villa, if I remember correctly, and they were trying to get off some of this run, use the large map to their advantage. Whether they'll be able to consolidate their defense, which is where they were a little bit more kind of weak, whether they'll be able to consolidate that, I think is the big point for them coming into this. So that's what I want to focus on for them. Team Endpoint I haven't unfortunately seen too much of, so I can't really make a comment there. Do you have anything to say about that, Fraser?
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be very interesting to see how Endpoint are going to be taking this. I feel like they definitely favour having those technically challenging maps, such as Consulate, Bank, Coastline, for example. I feel like they're a lot stronger on attacks. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how they'll be playing against bTitans. I would argue that they will probably be a bit more adaptable, possibly stronger on the defense. So I'm looking forward to it. It should be an interesting, fairly balanced game overall, hopefully.
Well, since it seems that we're doing a lot of talking about how these teams operate on various maps, let's get into that map ban here. I think we're ready for it, and we'll find out where they are playing, and then we'll probably have a bit more to say about that.
All right. So I'm just trying to get a look onto those map bans. So you were talking about Coastline. Do you think we'll be potentially seeing Coastline here, Fraser?
Possibly. I think that Endpoint, they are incredibly strong on Coastline. I think it would be a surprise if NSG want to play that again. We already know that they do like playing it. They played it multiple times over the past couple of weeks. I'm hoping that we'll see a different map. I hope we'll see something like Cafe. I think that'd be a very interesting match. But we'll see what happens.
All the bands coming in now, and the first one there is going to be Consulate. So yeah, no, and Clubhouse getting banned on the other side there for Team Endpoint. I mean, so how much were we kind of expecting these to go? I was surprised to see Consulate because I've seen a lot of teams really favor it recently.
Mm-hmm. I feel like Coastline in particular is a very attacker-sided map. I feel like a lot of teams are very confident on it. I feel like it's not too much of a surprise that we have seen it banned out. I feel like a lot of teams have kind of moved on, especially as the weeks have progressed. People are more confident trying out new maps, trying out new strategies, and it's good to see this adaptation coming into play.
Indeed, the last three maps. Coastline, unfortunately, taken off the board. We are going to be going to Bank here, so looking towards that. I'm excited. I love seeing a lot of those outside plays, utilizing the windows properly. So Bank, definitely a map that I'm looking forward to, especially on those upper floors. Always fun to see. So,
yeah, I feel like it's going to be quite interesting to see how each team is going to take this. I imagine we're probably going to see quite a heavy focus on roam clearance, obviously on the top floor. It'll mostly come down to which team can clear out fastest and most effectively, in my opinion.
Certainly will. So we're expecting to see things like Jackal on this map. I would imagine. Obviously trying to hunt some of those players down. Interested to see whether we'll see any Cade from players trying to play that basement hold, but it might get banned away as well. We still have to see what those operator bans will actually come to.
I think that a Jackal ban will probably be quite interesting. Specifically on this one, I feel like it would make things a lot more complex and it would add an additional step onto that roam clearance. It'll make it a lot harder. Definitely would favour bTitans there on defense first.
I mean, we've seen a couple of teams in this league actually do banning away specific operators that are generally considered pretty important to the offense or defense. Banning away hard breaches, things like that, but banning in multiples to try and catch opponents off guard. Banning away the Thatcher as well seems to be a favorite here. So, I mean, banning Thatcher is, I think, a little less relevant, other than on basement, than it is banning away Jackal. But I'd be interested to see whether either of these teams is playing around that, trying to catch their opponents off guard. It would be quite interesting to see.
I feel like a Thatcher ban probably wouldn't be as effective on this map as, say, for example, Consulate. I believe last week. Endpoint actually banned out Thatcher. I believe that was against SMS Morning Stars. So I feel like I'd probably expect them. They'll probably want to play that Jackal. If it's not banned out, we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, we will. Just waiting for some players to finish getting into the lobby. We've had a couple of issues, so we should be getting that resolved relatively quickly. But yeah, so what kind of thing are we looking? So if we're looking at bans, we're obviously expecting things like Jackal. We're expecting maybe something like Echo or the Maestro. What are we looking for as those other couple of bans coming here onto Bank?
I would expect Endpoint ban out Blackbeard. They don't like playing Blackbeard. It's been seen a couple of times previously over the last couple of weeks. They have consistently banned out Blackbeard. They don't like playing against them. They don't like to play him themselves. So I think that's fairly confident on that one. Happy to be wrong though.
It's always good to bet. I was a betting man. I'd probably go towards. I mean, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to take the Blackbeard. I mean, getting away that Thermite as well. Thermite's actually strong on a couple of the sites on this map. So if you are trying to have a really strong defense side, if you're trying to emphasize, that if you are Endpoint or bTitans, depending on which one you want to kind of strategize toward, I think banning that would actually be pretty sensible, because even without the if you ban away the Thatch, even without the Thatcher being banned away, it makes it a lot harder to take a lot of those angles aggressively from Skylight, for example, onto second floor. So
I feel like if I wanted to ban out a hard breacher, I'd probably go for Habana. Either Habana or Maverick. I feel like having that Thermite still in play, it still adds that extra dimension for your attacks. Whereas having the Habana banned out, it's a lot harder to get hatches. You can't open as many lines of sight. Overall, I feel like it would be a lot harder, and arguably a harder attack rather than if you banned out Thermite.
I mean, it is a little about finding those opportunities on in. So I'm there are definitely a lot of options here. So I'm interested to see what they will end up picking as bTitans female versus Team Endpoint. Definitely going to be a bit of a matchup and a half, and as they are relatively close in the standings. This is one of those matches. There's a couple of matches today which are very close, and as we were talking about before, with Brimstone, who is to my right, now back with us. We do have very close ones that are super relevant in terms of standings.
Yeah, these teams, I think this is going to be a really good matchup. I was looking back on the stats from previous weeks' matchups they had, more specifically last week as well, because I had some pretty good detailed notes on those ones. What's interesting to note is that the score lines don't always tell the whole story. For example, bTitans here did go up against Hellside last week. Although it was a 7-2 victory, by no means did it feel like a 7-2. bTitans were able to gain that momentum through the final few rounds, but it wasn't as far apart, as I said, as the score or the stat line showed. Hellside put up a very good fight against bTitans. Hellside now sitting below them. Endpoint beat SMS Athena last week, but it wasn't 8-7 victory. So although they beat a team ahead of them in the standings, this was still, and I know we're beating a dead horse here, but this is still kind of like that collection of middle of the pack groups here that are all trying to, fight for that different ground and separate themselves. But you can look back at these and say, bTitans here beat Hellside. They had a good match, but it was, a more spread apart match, making them look good on the stat line, but it's obviously a bit closer. And then Endpoint beating the team above them, which is also impressive, but it was an 8-7 game. We could have very well be sitting here saying that it was SMS Athena beating Endpoint, retaining that higher up position, keeping things the same. I think it's going to prove to make this match really interesting, because I do normally like to make predictions, but this one, even if I wanted to, I don't know if I could make a prediction here. These teams are very, very close together. They're both also on 1 week streaks here. They both lost the week before last. It's going to be a tough one, that's for sure.
It certainly is. And I mean, there is that kind of group of teams in 4th, 5th, and 6th where they're all on 3-3.
Yeah.
And they could all very much make it. It's all about getting these couple of wins, and it's a real nail biter because they're all playing for 4th where they can. I mean, there's an edge chance where these teams in 7th and 8th with who are 2 and 4 can make it, but it will be very difficult. They really have to pull the cat out of the bag with that one. So we're really looking towards Samsung Morningstar's Athena, Team Endpoint, and bTitans female to they're playing each other for this position to try and make it into that top 4, which is ever so important, as we know.
Yeah, it's. I mean, delving deeper into it, it's crazy that teams 4, 5, and 6, Samsung, Endpoint, bTitans. We're talking about Samsung and Endpoint being +1 in their round differential, and then bTitans being at 0, so they're even with the 36 and 36. That is extremely consistent play between those three teams, which makes it really hard to give them the edge. It does look like we actually have gotten that final player in, and we're going to be going to the match now. Guys, take it away. I'll see you in just a little bit.
Thank you very much. We unfortunately have to have Izzy subbed out here for Gus. The match is live. We are right on into the bands, and hopefully we'll get some of our predictions right. So
So
first one being... Yep.
Sorry, you go first.
I mean, I was just saying, we got that Jackal band. So far, we're 1 for 1.
I'm not too surprised by the Jacoban. I feel like it would definitely play in for the defense. It'll be a lot harder for the attackers, obviously, to do their roam clearance. Habana coming out as the second ban there for Endpoint there. It's going to be an interesting move there. Kind of surprised that they're taking away the hard breacher, especially when they're attacking first. I would imagine that means they probably have prepared for this and probably have a plan of how they want to attack without Habana, potentially with Maverick instead. Mira being brought out as the first defense ban. Not too much of a surprise there. What do you think?
I mean, the Mirror, I agree, pretty sensible. If you don't play it, get it banned. And the Echo getting taken away there by bTitans. I mean, what else do we expect? Echo and Maestro getting banned in a game of Rainbow Six Siege. Who would have thunk it?
So I kind of like the fact that then means that Maestro is in play. I feel like Aztec, she's going to take full advantage of that, as we're all too familiar, as anyone who has watched previously. Aztec, well known for being one of the better Maestro players currently competing at the minute. I wouldn't be too surprised by that. So we've got the Thermite being brought out by the Lure, again in favour of Habana, who got banned out. So I like this. I like the fact it's very well balanced lineup. Gridlock being brought out. Aztec, big fan of the MGs. M24 now recapped to Gridlock, as well as a 6th pick from Eller over to a Warden by Rebecca.
I mean, that's certainly interesting. Interesting the Warden changes, obviously going to 2-speed. I believe that's live, if I remember correctly.
Defenders,
So, yeah.
protect your by attackers.
I mean, Warden's still kind of mediocre. I do like him. He has some really nice, obviously having the secondaries, which are pretty strong. I do like the flash, anti-flash classes as much as they kind of don't work particularly well at some of the times. We do see this pretty standard hatch reinforcement, as expected. And to focus on something that I think is going to be very important to this defense is that Valkyrie, which obviously gets you so much information. However, we do see on the opposite side, there's an IQ to try and deal with some of that information.
Yeah, I do like the fact that we've got additional intel being brought out both with the Valkyrie and with the Maestro. I feel like obviously intel is very important as defenders. I like this. I like the fact that they've also got the IQ being brought out, potentially going to counter the Valkyrie. We'll see what happens with that. Again, fairly... Looks like Rezi going for a run out there onto a back alley. Doesn't seem to connect any shots. Doesn't seem to have fired any shots either. Very unfortunate for Harsh to run back in. Gridlock going up onto the rooftop, seeing if she can get eyes on to the Vigil, who is back downstairs. Kind of a surprise. Aggressive peek there as well. I'm surprised they went for a run out like that.
I mean, hey, it's worth it to try and make these gambits early on. If you can take the momentum, it can be very important. But unfortunately, I don't manage to find anything. Do manage to get the heck out of dodge, though, before those ACOG sites do manage to land on top of them. And we do see early control at the top floor, as is often ceded to these attacking teams when you're in the basement.
I do really like how quickly they have secure control of Skylight, Square Skylight. Moving over towards Stock and downstairs. Surprised that the defenders have let go of the top floor so quickly. I would have imagined they would have had the Vigil upstairs, at least holding on to Stock for about 30-40 seconds before pushing back down. Currently holding on to open area, seeing if she can get a line of sight onto the Zofia on the staircase. Doesn't seem to pick that out just yet. Oh, shots go out by IQ. Spun out the Vigil, who is pushing back into staff room. No damage dealt so far, however, a lot of time wasted, which is absolutely fantastic.
unfortunately gets spotted out there, and will manage to take them down. Mistake there. Sorry, Panda. Unfortunately, going to be taking them down. Aztec's still watching these stairs, making sure no one tries to roam back in or roam out and try and catch people off guard. And I mean, it kind of sucks to be in that situation now. You've got the player sitting on stairs with the shotgun, but it's going to be very difficult to actually hold this. Using the smart glasses because they're expecting the flash, but it's the Thatcher that actually comes on through. Not much is coming in the way of aggression here. It's Rebecca Stranger still waiting here.
Time is ticking down now for the attackers. They have to get a move on here. They have to clear out that blue staircase. Looks like Gorilla jumping over, however, unable to land a kill onto the Warden. Taking off time with a double kill. Rebecca kicking some real butt there.
Absolutely. I mean, utilizing those anti-flash glasses, the smart glasses, going to give them such an opportunity to just pick off these players who are just rushing on in. Midnight is trying to does manage to get rid of the defense and will finally take them down, but they've been slowed down so much. There's only 20 seconds left on the clock. Panda is trying to move on, but Chini is watching from behind, doesn't actually manage to hit the spray. Panda barely survives, but now 9 seconds on the clock to move on in. Good shooting here from Panda, does take down another. It's 1 versus 2. Schnat is sitting right at the back here, can't manage to find the spray through, and the diffuser will be going down unless they manage to find the spray through the wall. And unfortunately, Gas manages to find that shot, and Schnat goes down. What a clutch from Endpoint.
That is absolutely insane. I'm incredibly surprised that Endpoint managed to secure that win there. That was an absolute clutch situation for them, rushing down blue stairs. Rebecca holding on to that for so long. Almost that I'm genuinely surprised they were able to pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of dilly-dallying. They probably could have pushed that earlier, started working on it, but they were like hanging around a lot more. But due to the heroics of Panda there, 4K for them, they do manage to take that round in quite dire straits.
I do really like that Warden strategy right there, basically holding on to the staircase with a shotgun, shield there. Generally, you play with either an Albi or a, say for example, an Ella FO12. And you'll sit there, and you'll sit there, and you'll sit there, and you can waste a minute, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, no problem whatsoever. Surprised it took Endpoint that long, to be frank about it. But you know, good move by them. That was a very aggressive push towards the end. I think they kind of got very tired of, as you said, dilly-dallying with the Zofia basically lifelining the shield and then rushing down. Moving over to round number 2, however. Again, fairly conventional setup right now by the defenders. Nothing too much of a surprise. I would imagine we're probably going to see the Warden in a similar position.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, there's a few other reasons that you'd actually take it, I feel. Same reason for, well, I mean, there's like more reason to take Ella if you're going to try and bait that you're holding that, but also move it around somewhere else. So I don't really know. It seems a little bit strange if they're going to have it somewhere else, but they will be moving Rebecca Stranger right back up there.
So it's going to be interesting to see how the attackers will respond to this and how they'll adapt to that specific move there by bTitans. Again, going for a fairly similar attack strategy. It looks like taking top floor control first, taking control of Square Skylight. Potentially going to be pushing down towards open area in a minute or 2.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they're playing pretty sensibly. They're making sure to clear all the angles. They were worried about the Vigil last game. And I mean, they did manage to eventually clear them out. But this time, I don't think there's going to be so much threat. They're going to have to, I think, pick up the pace because, I mean, we saw them last time taking far too long. As we said, dilly-dallying. They need to turn on and get down there. I mean, we've seen what they can do when they manage to get that rush off Panda, absolutely destroying the team. But you need to actually set up and get into that position first.
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams, they prefer having those technical maps. They prefer having the focus of having a strategy and saying step 1, step 2, step 3 of how you want to attack or defend. At the minute, I honestly feel like Endpoint, they're being smart about it. They're taking their time. They're realizing, hey, we need to be sure that we're not going to get flanked or we're not overexposing ourselves with our push here. Warden's still on the staircase. Starting to get pushed by the Zofia, getting rid of the Maestro Evil Eye there. Aztec still holding up on the staircase, making sure nobody flanks up from blue stairs. We've got 1 minute 10 left on the clock.
Yeah. And they're going to open this hatch here as well, and I think it's very important because you can now try and coordinate a pinch, just spraying it down the stairs. Unfortunately, he doesn't manage to find anything as Rebecca Stranger has already left the building. They've moved back in deeper into that vault, and it it's going to be a more tight hold this time. Hopefully, they don't just have Panda walk in and pick up all those frags, as bTitans really want to try and get this round.
I would definitely say Endpoint, they have a lot of fraggers on their team. Specifically, 3 fraggers are Panda, Midnight, and Aztec. The amount of damage that they can do when they want to frag out is insane. So the fact they've got Panda up there, currently holding on to the hatch whilst the others are trying to push in through Blue and Server. We've got 25 seconds left. Still trying to make that A push. Or, sorry, is that a B push? No, yeah, that is an A push.
Yeah, and they haven't managed to open the wall. 15 seconds on the clock. The smoke canister will go down. Panda is going to deal with Sheeny, who tries to get that flank off. However, Julie, with that big machine gun, is going to manage to mow down a couple of players. They're going to try and plant the diffuser. Aztec takes a bit of damage as the smoke does manage to dissipate. Rebecca Stranger is the last player remaining. She's got to clutch this out. But Aztec will just fall back and now can take a much more safe position. This retake is so very difficult.
Yeah, moving on to a post-plant situation. Aztec going to be trying to do her best to stay out of a fight and basically just waste time out there. Holding on to the diffuser from Blue Staircase. Rebecca going to try and go for him. However, it's not enough. Aztec able to peek around and take her out. Not too much of a surprise. That was a really good push by them. Very aggressive by Endpoint. Very aggressive. And fortunately, that paid out for them.
I mean, it's been measured aggression. That's what I've really liked from them so far. They've been setting up. They've been waiting the time. They've got all the pieces in place. And then it's just like that. I mean, it wasn't a very good click, but they turn on and everything starts to fall apart from the opponent team. And we've seen them in very low time situations, keeping their cool and executing as they need to, managing to get those plants in very time-conscious situations.
Yeah, I'm incredibly impressed by their attack executes. It's just, there's 20 seconds on the clock, they drop down hatches, they rush through the doorways, and they get kills, and they win. And that's what we want to see. That's how we want to see this game played. Really well put together by them. I like the clash being brought out by bTitans.
I really like that because, I mean, it's trying to waste more time. We've seen them really play it to the clock, and well, this could be exactly what you need to push them over that boundary so they can't just get that plant.
Now, you can probably correct me here, but as far as I'm aware, Rebecca replaced or subbed in for Cecilia last week against Hillside. Is she a member of their main team, or is she a substitute player?
I'm not sure myself either, unfortunately.
Okay.
I haven't really... I don't think she might be now part of the main team as of last week. Unfortunately, I was only here for the week before. But, I mean, they've been playing pretty well. I've actually been impressed with them so far. As much as they haven't netted themselves any rounds, they have definitely been playing their role.
Yeah, exactly. The amount of time that they've been able to waste and the amount of damage that they're doing to Endpoint, not necessarily in terms of kills and frags, but in terms of the amount of time wasted, the amount of utility wasted, specifically on Blue Staircase, specifically in Server, is fantastic. That's what we want to see. We want to see more of this. Looks like, again, Skylight Stairwell and Square Skylight control taken fairly quickly by Endpoint. And I just really like how methodically they've been recently with this. Rezi currently on Staircase, going back down. She was originally holding up by Stock. Kind of an interesting move there to push back down. Potentially not wanting to risk herself. Panda now moving down as well. And again, first floor control again being left out.
Yeah.
I'm surprised by this. I would have expected that bTitans would try and hold on a bit more aggressively, a bit more of a bit more resistance, I guess you could say.
I mean, I think the thing is, Endpoint have been so methodical. They have gone for basically every single sweep. They've gone through every single option, every single round, and they're at this point like, well, we really don't want to lose a player early on here because we've been down to the wire every single time, and we've just about lost all of these fights by one player. And that could be the deciding difference. If you lose a Roma randomly, like they did in round 1, and get nothing out of it, feels really bad.
Yeah, so again, that is a very nice move by Dashini. Fantastic work there by the Kaid, able to trick out at least one of, only one of the exothermic charges.
That's super important as well, because now you can't open one of the 2 key hatches for this site. Sorry, hatches / walls. We see Lua instead put the pressure towards this main hatch, so they can actually deal with the clash holding here. But it's going to be very difficult.
This is absolutely fantastic for bTitans. This is going to force Endpoint to go for a more one-dimensional attack here. Suppressive fire going out by Aztec. M249, she is in love with that weapon. Unfortunately, unable to secure it. Kill. And again, 25 seconds left. Not a lot of damage done by the attackers. Going in for a plant, however, not enough. bTitan able to hold on just a little bit longer.
Yeah, really nice play from them there, utilizing that shield well. However, on the backside here is Panda peeking aggressively. Will find the kill onto Julie there. That is unfortunate, but gets taken down, and bTitans will close out the round with a flurry of kills. A much better defense this time. Playing around the shield, they really took control of this round. That trick there from the Kaid was so key in this round functioning.
I just have to admit, I'm actually genuinely so impressed with how Panda seems to sneak into sight every time. Like, that's the 4th round in a row that she's in there, right behind them, and close enough to melee them if she wants to. I'm impressed. She's a ninja, you know. Finally, a round won by bTitans, and deservedly so. They put a lot of effort into that with the clash with the Kaid. Fantastic. It was incredibly well put together, thought out by them. Moving over to the second floor now for their next defense. Again, Kaid being brought out, and why not? Kaid's fantastic operator should be able to potentially Kaid trick again on both of those 2 back walls. That's generally where you're going to want to have the Thermite with Lure, trying to open that up.
I mean, it's going to be down to Lua to try and get on through this, and I think that's going to be one of the key ways they're going to be able to enter into this site. Otherwise, I feel like the site is kind of difficult to get into unless you either pressure those walls or use those windows effectively, which we don't have anything. We were talking about the Blackbeard earlier. We don't see anything yet.
Yeah, I feel like, especially Endpoint, they've been focused fairly significantly on the same operators. They haven't really changed up too much. They've kept the Gridlock, they've kept the Thermite, kept the Zofia, the Thatcher, and the IQ. I'd like to see them play different operators. I'd like to see Midnight play someone other than a Zofia. But like, I'd actually really like to see them bring a Twitch. Just purely for that extra frag potential. Obviously she's down from 30 rounds and 31 rounds down to 25 and 26, but she's still incredibly strong. She's got that utility destruction. I think it'd be an interesting adaptation here.
Yeah, and dealing with these things like the Legion is what the IQ is here for. Instead, I mean, we were talking about dealing with these gadgets. I think, again, getting rid of the ADS so you can push in, and if you can stop Kaid from actually managing to use his claw on the wall, if you can get rid of it, then that really sets up, even if he puts it at the top of the wall so that you can't quite get to it. It means that you can kind of put pressure on the wall, force them to try and trick it, which makes it much more difficult. It is hard to do that. That's why it was so impressive to see that trick actually go off. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense that they've got the Zofia. Obviously, you know, bTitan, they previously played with the Clash. Ooh. Very lucky there for Rebecca, managing to barely avoid her IQ and her shots going up from underneath. And Dashini managed to get 1 kill onto Midnight. That is a Zofia down. Fantastic shot there by Dashini. Doc managed to get the wall open by Lure. Alright, so 1 minute 20. They still got a lot of time there. Advantage would definitely go for the defenders at the minute. 4v5. They can manage this. 1 minute 10.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot faster pushes at this time from Endpoint, and it's been working out okay for them so far. Losing that player, I think, was the key part. They managed to get the walls open, and if they didn't lose that player, I think they'd be in a pretty safe spot. As now they can really pressure onto this side. Rebecca Stranger still waiting around these walls. It seems to be their favorite hiding spot, and they have been trying to catch players off guard. We're still looking for Aztec to try and hold down Suppressing Fire, and now Lua can try and pick someone off from the side, but that's going to be it. But unfortunately, the jump out from Rebecca Stranger will manage to take a kill, trading teammate back and forth. The plant is going to go through here from Gas. No one's really there to push pressure. Rezi is trying to move on up, but unfortunately, it's going to be very difficult. Sheeny doesn't quite find the kill, and now they're going to have to really spur into action because this retake is going to be very difficult. Rachel Stranger will be back in action, but unfortunately, two players pick up a kill, and Sheeny doesn't even find one. That's really unlucky there.
That was an absolutely fantastic attack there by Endpoint. I really like how they were able to focus on getting those walls open and get that plant down. I mean, the important thing to remember, respect your planters. In this game, if you can get that plant down, so much easier to win an attack round when you're in a post-plant situation. I was fairly unlucky there for bTitans. I don't believe the CAD was able to successfully CAD trick this time. Both walls are able to be opened up by the lure. Surprised there was no flank watch. To be frank, I'm surprised there wasn't any flank watch on the hallway. One of I believe it was Dashiri was able to push through past Jana or doorway before getting killed off by Thatcher. I feel like Thatcher definitely should have been watching that, but you know they won, and I think the important thing to remember is that they're winning as a team. They're working together. They're working in sync and in unison, and it's just fantastic to watch.
It certainly is, and I mean, winning as a team is the key part of it. As much as Panda has been fragging out all over these games so far, these rounds so far, they are coming together. They're sweeping properly. They're taking the key part, setting up for that puggy opportunity right at the end, but taking it with advantage where you have found those kills first, or you've set up the information, you've opened up the walls and created an advantageous space for you to fight in. And I mean, that's kind of what Rainbow Six is about. Is first of all, the setup, which allows you to get aggressive and push on in and take control of areas.
This is just an absolutely fantastic match to watch. Both these teams are filled with equally talented and skilled players. I mean, bTitans, they are doing really well. They are doing their jobs. Unfortunately for them, it's just coming down to the wire, and the individual initiative of Endpoint is winning it out. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, especially Endpoint here, all of their players are fantastic fraggers. Each of them have the ability to frag out and clutch if they have to. As we've seen today, Panda has been absolutely killing it. As far as I'm aware, last week, she was also killing it as well. I believe she had 20 kills, 8 assists, and 7 deaths. That's insane. It's really good to see now. Dashiri holding inside Janta right now. Taking our time, holding on to that doorway. Nothing too serious there. Rezi seeing if she can try and flank up through square staircase. Neat little angle there by the Zofia.
Yeah, they're trying to make sure that no one's pushing up, and we were talking about the flank watch and how important it was. We didn't see it last round, and even though they managed to succeed without it, they are aware this time. They are looking for it, and even Lua sending those drones downstairs because they thought they heard something, and they're trying to spot out Rezi. Rezi is now going to get up to that top floor, but from a different side this time. The issue is whether they're going to be able to get into the right position, make sure they don't get caught out by the Sophia, who's now looking the other way, manages to slip by undetected.
I really like the fact that bTitans, they brought the Mozzie. They've realised how key and important droning has been for Endpoint, and they're doing the best to counter that. It's a nice adaptation. Mozzie, fantastic operator. You know, not only is it you know, intel denial, but it's also intel gathering for the defenders. The first wall gets opened up by Lure, going for a second wall now. Should be able to open that uncontested as well. Shnati trying to impact trick that, however, not effective, and the wall is open now. Gotta look up on the roof, watching the skylight, looking for any possible victims to modify.
Bomb located by attackers.
And this overwatch from the sky is going to be very important. Lure again taking this position, making sure there's no Cade sitting in the corner there. again, but someone very close to that window needs to be careful. Goss gets taken down by Rebecca Stranger, picking up that kill, but Lua is on the job and finds that refrag. Does get taken down by Resi, who has rotated back to site, and bTitans picking up a string of kills, and now they're very much in the advantage. It's Panda, 1v4. If there's a player who can do it on Endpoint, though, it is Panda. As they only have 20 seconds left, they're really going to have to blitz it. Doesn't find the sprays, giving away their position. This round is not looking particularly good, as they get taken down by Resi, and bTitans pick up round 5.
That is incredibly unfortunate, but fantastic work by bTitans. That was absolutely incredible to see them responding to each of the pushes. I'd argue that Endpoint probably pushed that a little bit more individually and a bit more by themselves, and was it was susceptible to refrags by bTitans. Fantastic work by them. I believe Rebecca got the first kill there onto Grace before getting refragged, but that just caused an absolute cascade of murders. Fantastic work by them. I really like that.
Yeah, it certainly was pretty darn good. I mean, they're bringing back the Clash.
I like this. Exciting. All right, so especially having that pulse there to begin with, that is gonna scare the attackers. I would be scared if I saw a pulse, especially if I knew they were going to be downstairs. I'd expect him. He's going to be in gold. We're not really going to be able to push him, but they're going to have constant intel. So the fact they brought out the Clash instead, a bit of a surprise, honestly. I mean, you could play the pulse and it would be just as viable, just as valuable. However, Clash, it worked out well for them last time. You know, all credit to them. I like the fact that they're sticking with what works.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I mean, as you say, it worked really well last time. And I don't know necessarily if Endpoint know how to properly deal with it. I mean, you don't get much practice against the Clash. There are very few people who play it. So I'm excited to see whether they'll be able to adapt on the fly. You're talking about them as a team who are able to adapt properly. Will they be able to do it here?
I mean, I would definitely say Clash is one of those operators. You don't scrim specifically to play against a Clash. You just don't. All right. If you play against a Clash in a scrim, you're surprised. You're pleasantly surprised, but you don't specifically have a strat to deal with it. Yes, you'll have operators that can directly counter them, such as the Zofia, the Thatcher, but you don't necessarily bring that operator to counter a Clash, at least at first. Generally, you'd bring that as an adaptation. Midnight, again, she's recently been playing a lot of Zofia. It's really good to see. I like what they're doing here. Aztec pushing in to Square Skylight. Correct me if I'm wrong, this is Square Skylight. I've been playing this game for 4 years. I don't even know call out for this. Help me out here.
I mean, I think so. That's probably what
Have you ever realised that, like, there's two stairwells here that could be called Square?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's
because
correct.
they're both square. They're both square.
They are.
Yeah. Thank you.
Apparently, it's also called Big Skylight, according to our producer. So, I mean, it depends on what you call it. I mean, I'm not a stickler. Someone will call it out, and you can infer from context most of the time. Panda here does hear some shooting and is a little bit worried, but it's going to look for that information again, trying to make sure there's no electronics hiding around that might be able to take. They were worried about Mozzie, and it could have been a sixth pick. I can't do numbers.
No, I really like this. I feel like it's taking a bit of time, actually. It's a bit of a slower... Ooh, Resi getting a nasty shot onto the Groundlock as it goes down. That's a fantastic pick by Resi, and an interesting move there. Gets refragged by Midnight. That is a really interesting move there. Having the Jaeger playing a lot more aggressively upstairs inside of Archives. Lua now moving in.
I mean, we saw Resi trying to play the Vigil in round 1. But unfortunately, that didn't pay off. Here, though, it succeeded, at least in picking up a kill and managing to do some distraction. Though, Sheeny won't be able to Cade trick that, I believe, just in time. I think it's going to resolve just about... No!
She is a fantastic Cade player. That is absolutely insane. That's the second time she's played Cade downstairs, I believe. And that's the second time that she's been able to trick that. It limits the attacker so much more. It forces them into a far more one-dimensional push, as we've seen consistently here. They have to push through server.
Yeah, and one dimension is really important. It was really difficult when you're playing against this Clash in the way. They can just stall so much more. Another pick though for bTitans. Chini finds that shot onto Midnight, and now with Rebecca Stranger sitting on this clash. It's going to be so difficult to move on in.
Oh, and we see Panda moving in. She is like a ninja. Grace trying to go in for a plant, however, pulling off at the last second. Rebecca going for another kill, and Julie as well. Panda pushing in. She is playing aggressive, trying to carry the team at the minute. And that last round, she didn't manage to pick up a final kill, however.
I mean, I appreciate the attempt of the flank, but it hasn't worked 2 times in a row now. You've left your team, and in the time that you've left them, they've gotten completely destroyed by bTitans. I think Panda has to try something different if we end up, well, I mean, we're not going to be going back to that site, but in a situation where we did, I don't think you do that again, because it really didn't work out for you, and you lost 2 rounds because of it.
I would argue that potentially the problem there isn't with the IQ doing the solo push. I would say that maybe you need an additional person with the IQ. I feel like the problem is with the server push. It's just not working against that clash and such generic rifle operator here. So we're moving over to defense for Endpoint. Dashini bringing out the Maverick. I like this. I feel like Maverick's an incredible operator, has a lot of versatility and a lot of usability on this map specifically.
I mean, it means even if the Thermite can't manage to resolve their breaching charges when you're going to basement, I don't know what they were expecting. They might have been expecting basement here. You can manage to cut through those walls. You can also hard reinforce some of these walls utilizing the Maverick trick, and it really allows you to open up a lot more than you otherwise would be. And on some of these sites where there's so many different entrances and walls, which can be very key, I think it's really good. So I agree with this flexibility. I think it's fantastic.
I would be scared by the amount of ACOGs that the defenders have right now. I'd like playing against an older and an MP5 and a Valkyrie to throw out cameras. That is terrifying. First camera being thrown out there. I believe they probably would have heard that. I imagine that the Rebecca and Schnapp probably would have heard that being thrown out right out there and landing. Dashini going in for a push onto the balcony, and by herself at the minute. Suppressive fire going out by Rebecca. M249 is absolutely fantastic for that, and Julie going in for a drone. Seeing if she can spot out any of the defenders. Spots out the Midnight there on the vending machine. Doesn't seem to be getting challenged just yet. Oh, actually, correction. Rezi pushing up straight through Banana. Takes her down. That's interesting move there. Aztec unaware of where the Ash was there and allowing Midnight to die out. However, quickly refragging that. Good move by her. I like how the Ash played that. That was a very aggressive, very ballsy move there to actually push up straight through Banana and take direct control through that.
Oh, that was nice play there from Lua, managing to get that impact trick. Really nice, actually. Again, stopping them from opening one of those walls without spending a lot more time there. I do agree. I really like the aggression. Again. Like, oh, come on, man.
This is why you bring the Maverick. This is the perfect situation to bring out that Maverick and say, hey, all right, you've destroyed both of our exothermic charges. We can't open the wall as quickly as we'd like. And Aztec landing another kill there onto Rebecca. She's not trying to challenge that, however, with that reflex. It's not going to work out too well for her, leaving that in favour of someone else. And Lure getting a nice couple of shots onto the Thermite, who goes down. Lure unaware that she's down. Aztec, a third kill. Again, this is what I'm talking about. Aztec on Maestro, terrifying. You don't want to play against that. It's really good to see her holding on to that hallway control there. Rotating out of the elevator into conference room.
Yeah.
44 seconds left.
You really need to be careful. There's just so much pressure on you right now. 35 seconds and 2 players, not much health on one of them. Do at least have Diffuser, but I mean, just been holding down these positions and you fall for it again.
Aztec GOAT. I think that's probably all you need to say about that. And a fantastic 5th kill going out there by Panda. They really struggled, especially with the lack of the IQ. They weren't able to spot out even the simple default cameras, default Valkyrie cameras being thrown out there. Fantastic play by Panda. Imagine they're probably going to go downstairs now. It's not too much of a surprise. It's Bank. Yeah, fairly standard lineup being brought out here. Twitch being brought out. I like this. I'm a big fan of the Twitch.
Fair enough. I mean, doesn't actually get picked, unfortunately.
That's a shame. I mean, to be fair, Nomad, fairly valuable. I don't believe there's going to be a lot of runouts. To be frank, I feel like Endpoint generally don't run out. Pulse being brought out, probably going to be played inside of Volt, or inside of Gold, correction. I like this. That's fair.
I think it's really good. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, at least
Attackers
showing
will locate and
that
defuse as many bombs as they can.
they're potentially looking for the stairs hold initially by picking one of those two operators, and then swapping over to the pulse, which again puts pressure on you in a different way. I really like those kind of mind games because we saw them do the exact opposite, in fact, when it was bTitans on defense. So fun to see that.
Imagine how that must feel being bTitans. You see your own strat, your own operator potentially being brought out. I would be fairly frustrated by that. I'd be rather agitated by that. So it's nice to see that kind of psychological warfare coming out a little bit. I want to see where they're going to play the pulse. I would imagine they're going to play inside Gold. That's a fairly standard pick there. Yeah, you see it right there. Panda playing inside Gold. I like Midnight and the Valkyrie. Again, additional intel. Intel is key in this game, so it's not too much of a surprise.
I mean, yeah, if you have the information, you can make all the peaks you want. We saw that was a linchpin of the attack from the side of Endpoint, is where they got all that information first, and then they went, right, it's go time, we'll do it. And they went absolutely hog wild, absolutely fantastic fracking from those ladies on the offense. When they were able to make it work, unfortunately, they got a little bit too close to time and too close to comfort when it came down to a couple of those. But hopefully looking to do, well, not that this time, as we see Rebecca Stranger doing the bandit trick here on the hatch.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very quick push there by bTitans. I like that. They quickly secured control of open area and then immediately push for the hatch. Looks like one person's going to try and contest the hatch underneath. However, that's not going to work out. Rotates back away. Now, Allura was originally standing underneath the hatch with the SMG-11. She was going to fight that, I imagine. She was going to look for any of the feet or legs of the Maverick. However, not going to work out there. Resi pushing down main staircase now. Interesting to see that door is barricaded off. Generally, you don't barricade that because someone can very easily go prone inside of garage and land a shot into the default mirror in red. Midnight still playing inside a front upstairs banana. Hasn't been cleared out. She hasn't been drawn down. That's a fantastic opportunity for her to do her own, or to do a flank, late flank. So I like that. Resi pushing back into opening area. Potentially going to go for a hatch drop. I doubt it. Highly doubt it. But potentially if she runs out of time, Valkyrie pushing up through square. Making her way slowly but surely, taking her time, making sure there's nobody on the main hatch or inside of staff room. Looks like one person's on open area. That's Resi.
Yeah, he's paying attention. Midnight now starting to sneak up, finds the shot, manages to take down Schnart here. But as soon as that, the bullhorn, they all hear that she's coming.
Oh, it looks like Rebecca's been watching one too many Bikini Body videos, trying to go for the Maverick ult that you can jump over or vault through. That's really nice to see. Valkyrie playing upstairs, 30 seconds left. This is why you roam clear. This is why you clear the top down. Alright, it's the reason why that's a standard meta since the game first came out. You can fight underneath on the first or on the basement whilst you're getting pushed from above. You can.
I mean, that was absolutely fantastic. Managed to get away with a bit of a spray there. However, Panda holding strong on this pulse. It's now 2 versus 2. 4 seconds. They managed to get a kill. They need to go for the plant. Aztec is down the hallway. He's just going to wait and watch.
Oh no, it's not going to work out. Aztec's going to have to go for a kill, but it's not going to work out. Dashiri coming off the plant, I believe, and then going for that final kill there. Actually covering the plant, I should say. My bad. Covering the plant and taking down the Maestro. Good reaction from her. Probably had to call out that there was somebody over in the elevator. Fantastic work by her.
Indeed it was. I mean, that was really nice play to get that big run through. And I actually managed to spray down and tag a bunch of the players as well. So, I mean, it was a bit scrappy. Very worried about that Maestro doing a lot of damage. but managed to make it work, and that's the important part of that.
I really like how Panda's playing today. I think she is absolutely on point. Fantastic fragger. It's really good to see it, especially on a Jaeger this round instead of a Valkyrie as she's played previously. I like that. I like the fact that she's probably going to play a lot more aggressively and trying to hold angles a lot more. I feel like it should be an interesting watch.
Yeah, we saw some aggressive Jaeger play from the opposite number on the side of bTitans, and I do want to see more of that. It was very impressive.
I'd really like to see bTitans go for a room clear upstairs. I want them to clear properly down, and hopefully they'll learn from last round. Even though there's probably not going to be anybody playing upstairs this time, I imagine that Endpoint are going to play a lot more passively. Jaeger with an M870. Hang on a minute. She seems to be missing her 416. That's a bit of a surprise there. Bandit shotgun should be a fun night out. Midnight getting the hatches up in. I can't even remember the word for it. The thingy over by the area. If that's descriptive enough for you. That could have been challenged fairly easily by the attackers. Midnight going upstairs again. Interesting. Hopefully the attackers will have learned from last round and they will go for that room clear out that Valkyrie, stop her from doing that again. Panda, I take back what I said. M870 shotgun. She had a plan, and I believe she took out somebody from inside dark.
Yeah. So had a plan and executed, much like they executed Schnart there. Pretty unfortunate to see that happen, but we will see the hatch being, again, taken away by this Maverick. Rebecca Stranger is going to try and open this on up.
I would like to apologise for the Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's about 1 minute 50 left. It's enough time for the attackers to decide what they want to do. Do they want to go for a regular push straight through server, or do they want to try and maintain hatch control and top control? Looks like they're focusing on getting control of blue and server. I'm surprised they're not keeping somebody over by the main hatch, just to contest the doorway a little bit more. Looks like Rebecca is all out of Maverick. Maverick thought she can't get the last hatch open. Unfortunate for her. She tried her best, but it just didn't work out. Rezi looking over the hatch, currently on Overwatch. Valkyrie again upstairs, top floor, similar position to where she was last round. This could very easily contest, and she gets 1 kill and a second kill. Midnight lands 2 kills onto the Thermite and the Nomad, I believe. It's very unfortunate for the attackers, rushing them back downstairs now, leaving it in a 2v4 situation. Midnight done her job. She can push back. No contestation, if that is even a word.
I mean, it's a word I like to use, so we'll rock with it. Resi here on above, but I mean, they've got 35 seconds on the clock, and it is 2 versus 5. It's going to be very difficult to make this push, and they still have players sitting behind them. I think they just have to go for it. They have to go. Guns are blazing here. They don't have much time on the clock. And you lose a player like that,
and a
feels pretty
second
bad.
kill with the M870. That is, I take back what I said. I apologise profusely to any Germans that were offended by my insults towards the M870. That is a fantastic play by Panda. Fantastic work. Great round. Great round.
I mean, yeah, no, excellent play from the side of Endpoint, and looking to continue this defense as they are now 2-1 so far on defense, and going back to their first site where they felt pretty darn comfortable as Aztec on that Maestro was dominant.
I think, honestly, if you just give Aztec an LMG, it doesn't matter whether she's playing Capita or Gridlock or Maestro, she will get you kills. She will hold an angle and she will stay there. She's stubborn like that. And it's fantastic to see this playing out. I really want to see bTitans change things up. I want to see them adapt a little bit more here, and it looks like they've kind of done that. They brought out the buck. They're going to probably play vertical control underneath from Archive. That's why you'd bring a buck. You'd play it vertical control underneath or above. This should be fun to watch.
It certainly should be, and it's the first kind of vertical play, other than through hatches, that we've seen so far in this game. So I am excited to see that. I think it's actually very important, and I like that they're starting to bring this now because they really need to change it up because this defense hasn't been great for them. It's kind of been a bit shutouty, and they haven't performed particularly well.
Yeah, I mean, Bank itself isn't necessarily known for lateral gameplay. It's also known, you know, for vertical gameplay, playing above and opening up lines of sight, opening up murder holes, and the like, and basically holding angles. Like, that's essentially what this game can be at times. It's just hold an angle, wait for somebody to push through, and you shoot them. It's very simple, and I like the fact Dashini bringing out Buck should make it a lot easier for them to do that.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Maverick currently droning through sight. Looks like 2 people spot out there. I like the Legion. Legion's always a valuable operator. You know, not only does she counter, you know, pushes, rapid pushes, but she also intel. Allows the defenders to know when an attacker is pushing through a specific area. You can hear it pop off. You can see the like the icon go away, so on and so forth. IQ playing on the window there, watching out into lobby, looking for that potential peek. I believe it was Panda again last time they were defending upstairs. She was trying to peek out through those windows. Looks like Goodman going off by the Maverick. Thermite trying to go for the wall, however. Lure, they are going to try and potentially impact trick again. I believe she might have already used both of them, actually. First one goes down. And I believe that might be the exothermic charge destroyed.
No, I think it went off there. Unfortunately, we saw them alternate which side it was on, so they managed to get that resolved pretty darn easily this time, catching them off guard by switching things up. However, from below, there are 2 players, Midnight and Panda, looking to try and get off those big flanks here. Julie still looking through, trying to find that shot, but won't quite get it. Now holding his ankles here.
I'm interested to see where Aztec's playing here. I wonder whether they're going to try and play a lot more aggressively, holding on to that hallway there. Aztec, I say it, and she turns up, getting that immediate headshot onto Rezi. That is twitched down. Looks like IQ trying to contest into Janitor, firing a couple of shots into through to Conference. Jaeger now with 416 rather than the MA70. Grace getting a nice kill onto Rebecca. That's a Maverick down as well. Lure's legs getting pointed out there a little bit. Thermite unable to contest that, however. Sees one person and gets her head taken down. Grace with a second kill. Dashini refragging, however. Leaving it a 2v2, 2v1 now. Leaving it all up to Schnatty. 30 seconds left on the board. Maestro and the Jaeger both full health. Jaeger trying to rotate through square. Gets spotted out. And called out, however, can see her. Lands a couple of shots, and IQ caught between a rock and a hard place right now. And she doesn't have diffuser. All she has to do is either go for frags, or I think that's about it. I don't think she has time. She won't have time to go for a. Gets 1 kill, goes for the diffuser, however, not enough time. Does she? Oh no, she has time.
Whoa, just barely managing to get that. Aztec realizes, oh no, they managed to get it through the wall. Brilliant play there by Aztec.
So I believe Aztec, she turned the camera. She would have turned the Maestro camera that was still there. Get the call out there, getting the ping out there. I managed to pre-fire through that. I didn't think the IQ had time. I thought she ran out of time, but she's a 3-speed, and she's showing it off right there. Moving us over to match point in favor of Endpoint 6-4. Again, fairly standard lineup being brought out. I like this. They're sticking with what works. Panda now on a dock rather than the Jaeger. Midnight also swapping over from Valkyrie. Sledge being brought out. I like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. I do think that bringing that, especially when they're no longer on that second floor, is a lot more relevant, obviously. And they're going to Teller's office and archives here, so I think it's especially relevant, and they know that that's going to be happening as well.
Attackers need to locate.
So they swapped over. They 6-picked the Valkyrie from the dock. I like that. That's fair. I honestly probably would have preferred to see the MP5, the ACOG. I feel like it's more relevant, but I like the fact that they're, again, bringing utility. They're bringing the C4, they're bringing the Valkyrie cameras. I'm surprised that they've only brought the Sledge. I would have thought they'd want to bring the Buck as well. get that vertical control from above. I mean, you do have some form of vertical control with the IQ, with the breaching charges and with the Ash, but there's better operators that can do it. You know, you've got the Buck who can do it. You've got the Slides that can do it.
5 seconds remaining.
Let's just see how it plays out.
Indeed. I mean,
Attackers are moving
so
out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
the interesting thing is whether we're going to see any top 4 control. It doesn't look like it yet from what I can see on the screen, but trying to stop them, I do think, will be pretty key if they are actually going to be doing it. Because if you can stop that top floor control, then there's no longer any threat from the vertical play, from the sledge. So I think that is going to be why they're going to be contesting this, and Gas moving into position very, very quickly.
So they've got multiple defenders upstairs trying to actively hold that. They're probably going to try and hold that for as long as they can before rotating down. I would imagine they probably want to hold it for at least 40 to 50 seconds. It's generally the amount of time that a roamer would want to hold upstairs, especially if they're actively holding that, actively trying to waste as much time as possible. Hold it 40, 50 seconds, rotate down, save your life, and save yourself for the late game. So again, we're seeing the Jaeger upstairs, currently inside of console office, or CEO office, I should say, rather. A bit of a surprise, she's prone, potentially holding on to the window there. Rebecca putting down her air jabs. That's 2 down, 3 down now. Again, Midnight, Valkyrie both holding upstairs. I like this. It's aggressive, and it's going to waste their time. It's going to stop them from gaining that top floor control straight away. Thermite trying to get the wall open now. Should have no contest for that.
Managed to let it resolve, but unfortunately Schnat, under a lot of pressure here, will manage to get the goo mine out of their leg. Needs to be very careful though, as there are still 3 players up here, as we were saying, continuing to pressure and get aggressive. Now looking for this duel in the hallway, sees them but doesn't manage to scope down quite in time, and Schnat doesn't find the shot. They're going to continue to try and spray through these walls, find a couple of those picks, but this contingent of players are holding strong. Lua does go down. We do see a frag back though, as the diffuser is getting planted here, and you're off site. Endpoint need to start moving back towards it, as the diffuser will go down, and now it's looking pretty good for bTitans until they lose that member, and now, even though they have control, they've got very little left.
And it's all up for Dashini right now. She's trying to do her best holding the diffuser, but it's not enough. Aztec gets yeeted out of the doorway, and Panda going in for the diffuser. Everyone is calling out GG. And I think that is about it for that match. Fantastic play. Absolutely fantastic play there by bTitans. They got the plan down, however, they weren't able to hold on to it in the post plan. They had the idea, they were going to maintain the top control. It just didn't work out in the end. Fantastic play by them. Fantastic work by Endpoint. MVP for Panda.
Oh, absolutely. Panda, such a big fragger for this team, and really showing up as well in the very clutch situations, leading them to some early round wins on that attacking side. But as well, you can see the numbers: 18 frags, 7 above the next player. Absolutely obscene, honestly. Equal to the top other 2 player kills on her team.
Yeah, that was absolutely fantastic game. I feel like they worked together, they knew what they wanted to do, and they had a plan, and they stuck to it. I feel like Endpoint arguably were a little bit more flexible with how they wanted to play that, which honestly surprised me. I felt like bTitans probably should have had that advantage. However, you know, the facts speak for themselves. You know, Endpoint, they won that rather convincingly. I believe that was that 7-4?
Yeah, 7-4.
Yeah.
And convincing. We have Brimstone back with us now, so yeah. I mean, what do you think of that game, man? It was awesome.
I thought it was a fantastic match. I think that was one of the prime examples of a team playing well and the other team playing better. I mean, watching both sides, they both put up some really good rounds, and I don't think it comes down to mistakes at all for anyone. It's just literally, as we saw, Endpoint outplaying bTitans and just having those clutch moments when they needed them. One thing I wanted to touch on, Fraser, as we're getting to know you here as well, one thing that you brought up was that psychological game. You know, those 6 picks, at one point a Warden going to a Pulse going to a Warden. How much do you value that psychological game within R6?
I think it's very important, especially when you're playing against a team that is equally balanced as yourself. Teams that are as you know have as many fraggers as yourself. It's very important to have that distinction and have that extra kind of fear factor in a way. You know, bringing out an operator like a Clash is going to force the attackers to slow down and say, hey, all right, we need to bring the Thatcher or Zofia to get rid of the shield, and then push that step 1, step 2, step 3, right? And the same goes for a Pulse, right? If you have a Pulse playing inside of gold, there's no way that you can fight that from upstairs. You can't grenade him, you can't shoot him. You have to push down to get rid of that intel, and that takes time. So having that Pulse playing there, or even the threat of a Pulse being there, as incredible.
Definitely,
Yeah,
and you brought it up well, just about even when they switched off of the Pulse, you're still thinking about it. What were you going to say, Rook?
I was just going to say, and I mean, that was one of the big themes of the first half of that match. It was down to time pretty much every round. And I think bTitans actually handled that very well by moving on into that clash, as you were saying. But the thing is, when we came to the them moving on to the attack, we just saw some fantastic defensive play from Endpoint, and just all fell apart, unfortunately, from them. They weren't able to clean out properly. They lost a lot of members to flankers. And even when they got the plant down, it just wasn't enough. The retake was there.
Definitely. Well, as we expected, that was an extremely close match, a very important one. Endpoint picking up a huge win, a tough loss for bTitans. But don't go anywhere. We're going to go to a quick 5-minute break. Stick around. And then when you come back, we're going to have Team Queen versus Penta Divina Victoria. See you in a few minutes.